College Hausa on the virtual platform for the national webinar on the topic NEP and traditional Indian values. The college, Sri Kumar Swami College Hausa, has been conducting a mega series of national and international webinars. The theme of webinar series is Women Empowerment and Environmental Conservation. Hundreds of webinars have been conducted on variety of topics related with different fields, and these webinars are successfully catering the needs of students, researchers, intellectuals, knowledge seekers, and people from different fields. And we hope that the webinar series is serving its purpose of spreading knowledge and enriching knowledge. And this has become possible and feasible because of the inspirational and motivational personality, chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir. In the beginning of today's national webinar, I welcome him as the chairperson. Also, I am very pleased to welcome today's invited speaker, Honorable Varsha Kiran Patil ma'am from AISSMS IOIT Pune. Honorable ma'am is going to enlighten us on the topic NEP and traditional Indian values. Before that, I also welcome all honorable organizing committee members, Vice Principal S.D. Misal sir, Junior College Supervisor Ravindra Karanje sir, MCVC Supervisor Praveen Udge sir, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Sanjay Kale sir, Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, Dr. Sudhir Garad sir, Ambadas Khillare sir, Dr. Patwari sir, and Dr. Wadkar sir. We all are gathered here for the keynote speech. But before that, I think it is pertinent to have the introduction of today's honorable keynote speaker and resource person. So I would like to invite Dr. Dhole ma'am to invite honorable invited speaker. Please ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sorry. On occasion of Golden Jubilee year of the college, Sri Kumar Swami Mahavidyalaya Hausa has organized a wonderful grand knowledge sharing webinar series. So, you are welcome to this grand and successful series. Respected Principal and Chief Organizer Dr. Ambedkar MM has arranged this series with the ambition of women empowerment and women dignity. And this series is going on very successfully and systematically because of the efficient and motivational personality Dr. Ambedkar MM and all the resource persons and very punctual participants. I am very thankful to respected principal for giving me this opportunity to introduce a resource person on this virtual platform. Many special thanks goes to organizing committee members and a big thanks to all the respected participants. Those are joining daily from all over India and abroad also, and they are making a very successful series. So it's my pleasure. I am here to introduce today's keynote speaker, Honorable Varsha Kiran Patil ma'am, AISSMS IOIT Pune, Topic of presentation is NEP and traditional Indian values. Mrs. Varsha ma'am is working as assistant professor in E and TTC engineering at AISSMS IOIT Pune. She is pursuing PhD from Savitribai Phule Pune University. She has 18 years work experience and she has authored 5 books which are popular in student community. She has written 2 book chapters in Tyler and Francis. Her area of interest is image processing, Internet of Things, electronics for agriculture. She published 24 excellent international publications. Mrs. Patil has completed 2 funded projects. One project grant was sponsored by Forest Department, Government of Maharashtra. The other grant was sponsored by BCUD, Savitribai Pune University. She has been invited as a resource person for 7 faculty programs and 4 webinars. She has worked for the establishment of the Texas Innovation Lab, IEEE, Affordable Agriculture Lab. She conferred several awards, including 3 Best Paper Awards in international conferences, Inspiring Innovative Educator Award, Texas Ecosystem Facilitator for Fostering Industry, Academia Award. Several student project groups working under her guidance have received Best Project Award, including IETE GHR Regional Project, West Zonal Representation, Entry in ICAR Competition, etc. She has worked as Technical Program Committee member for IEEE and Springer Conference. So with this introduction, I would like to request today's keynote speaker, Honorable Varsha ma'am. Please start your presentation. Thank you.
That was nice introduction and kind words from Anita Dole ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you very much team. Knowledge that I have in front of the galaxy of knowledgeable persons like you. Thank you very much. I just want to confirm that my slides are moving and my voice is reaching there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Perfect.
madam. Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. Patil from AISSMS IOIT wants to thank you for giving me this opportunity. As an educator and as an author of Scopus Index book chapter of traditional Indian education values and new national education policy adopted by India, which is published by Boston University. I'm presenting my this particular presentation with your kind permission. The contents are like what about today's scenario and what was the timeline taken is ancient world to today's scenario in Indian context, what happened in British rule, and after independence, how the things are going to change. All of us are knowing actual what is NEP, but the perspective from the eyes of the educator, how it looks like, how the layman or how the person who is educating the higher education, how it looks like, that perspective is taken into consideration. Instead of explaining the NEP, which is known to us as an educator, I'm going to just have the look about what I have published in Boston University paper. Okay, so let us start with section 1. The section 1 is about all of us. We people are Indian educators and we have handled the changes that had happened in last 2 years successfully. We people are strong enough to face these particular challenges and we can have the power to empower the India to be superpower. So for this particular, in this context, how we have handled the that is changes, let us have a look. Can anyone have this name of this picture in front of you? Okay. This one is the challenge we have faced in pandemic situation in last 2 years. So identify the year and impact on our life as a human and as an educator. So in our perspective, stay home or what we had done, our beliefs, misbeliefs, etc. To have all these things we have done in last 2 years, and the impact was very large in case of our life as a human as well as the educator. It was year 2020, March 2020, where the lockdown word was the initiated, and we have experienced the never before situation in previous 2 years. So the very important tagline is change is the constant. But year 2020 was all 360-degree change for educators. It was the year when we were on the toes and we had a challenge to accept the change of online education. In March 2000 to 2020, were two buzzwords. One is lockdown, and government declared lockdown also, and government has introduced NEP, new education policy. So in educators view, they were trying to have the online platforms also, and also how to handle the situation in day-to-day life. So the activities list the 5 changes while transitions from the teaching challenges going from offline to online. And after that, there was new normal, and for new normal, vice versa from online to offline. So that activity in your mind you have taken into consideration how you have done the changes and what the transitions were done and how much efforts you have done to have the students to be knowledgeable. Year 2020 was known for India for two base reasons, that is NEP was introduced, as well as we are having the other word that was nothing but that is online education. So in case of NEP, there are some buzzwords we are going to see in these sections. So NEP buzzwords are the words which are in case of NAC or NBA, we are having a buzzword of outcome-based education. What is the outcome-based education? Yesterday's session also enlightened us how to have the analytics of big data analytics of our that is teaching. So these are the buzzwords of today's word, and no one cannot be separate irrespective of his or her branch. So anyway, we are having arts, commerce, or any particular pharmacy or any particular branch, we have to be on toes and have these buzzwords like IoT, big data analytics, frameworks, or outcome-based education, etc. These are the changes which are happening and we have to accept. But the most important change was the benches was empty and there were laptops and mobiles. The screen were there and the students were on virtual platform. That was the change we experienced. So one has to think upon the other way. Like in case of Bloom's taxonomy, we are creating the labels like we are having understanding, analyzing, evaluating, creating, etc. And we are doing all the best efforts for doing the students to be student-centric education. But the that is suggestion given by Westin Hatch in his particular blog is don't get caught in the buzzwords. So he has given further suggestion that the buzzwords are coming and going, but have a common sense. The one which is not common is common sense. So common sense gives the ground reality of making what we call it as a jugaad. As a teacher, we had done this experimentation, like we have put our mobile on some transparent things and we had taught our students Again, there were news from Pune where tripod was not there. We have to have understand what is concept, not mug up. So technologies will come and technologies will add on the things which are basics, and for that we have to use the that is whatever the things that are coming, but don't have the over uses of the word given by media. Like COVID-19 word was given in such a way that from the media in such a way that we people could not have the newspaper in our hand also. So that was the thing which can be taken into consideration according to Westin Hatch in his post. So we Indian educators, Jugards, are gifted with our traditions and cultures. Whenever Indians go or overall in the world, in all sectors, maybe in hotels, softwares, they do not get defeated, but do something new which can be never thought of. So we can have an activity list how the online challenges were overcome by us that can be taken into consideration. Now, let us take into consideration how we can apply all these concepts into NEP and how NEP can be taken into consideration. All of us know how the structure has changed from 10 plus 2, etc., how 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is taken into consideration. But I just want to highlight the part of NEP launching speech, which underlines the need of newer policy for education. It was said that recognition of excellence in individuals and honoring them is a part of Indian tradition and culture, which is also done by Dr. Bedkar MM and his team. They are identifying the excellence in the education and giving the virtual platform. It is also meant to inspire others to strive for excellence and scale new heights. So this is the implementation of NEP, and that implementation is expected with the help of NEP. So need of the hour is to identify the talent and impart the required skills to them. It was the part of the NEP launching speech. So with this part of a launching speech, let us go for what is meant by meaning of education in section 3. So according to Mahatma Gandhi, education for life, education through life, and education throughout life is the definition, simple definition of education. Is it a good thing? Yes. It has to be taken into consideration, and it has the that is attracted to philosophers the term education, where they have come across that it would have to be education of a different kind. The education will be the thing that will impart on that particular person, so that the use of available resources and not available resources are also done to have the in-depth thoughts in and imparting it into the other person also. So it is a exchange of knowledge, and it is the achieving human full potential. So that was the goal taken into consideration of national development in case of education. Education is a tool to transform all the world. So education is essential and indispensable element for all over development of society and country. So one has to take into consideration education policy and forming a new education policy with the help of traditional values and to the betterment of society and national policy is very important thing. So again, we can take into consideration another dimension of education. It is the aim that changes the habits of groups of people which are transferring their habits from one generation to other generation, and overall it is a changing towards the betterment of society in a newer dimension with formative efforts. How we think, how we feel, how we act is going to change with the help of education. It is the very important thing that is required from the education. Formal process by which society deliberately transmits its accumulated knowledge, skills, customs, and values from one generation to another. It's called as that is education with like tangible or non-tangible way. That is the way of education. So we all educators gathered here should have some insights and some thoughts on these brainstorming thoughts on the definitions of education. But the next section is education in India in context with time. So time is very strong, and in case of that, if we take x-axis as a time as an independent quantity, then ancient, British, and after independence are the three eras that we have to take into consideration. So the very important thing is after independence, how the policies are going to change and how the things are going to happen, that we have to take into consideration. Otherwise, NEP is known to us. So first of all, out of these three eras, ancient, British, after independence, let us see the ancient education system, which was methodical effort towards learning basic facts of humanity. They were very knowledgeable and were known, that is, there is a relation between values and education. Though it is a king, though it is a very poor man, they were having the same platform and same treatment by Guru. To help everyone in improving his life and having inculcating of value system which they will hold in their life was the important thing that was taken into consideration in case of ancient Indian education. So in case of ancient Indian education, the student should be independent in case of having the archery skills to have a defense or to have the other kind of things occurring in his life. Also, he has to have the reading skills. Also, he has a vision to do the experimentation, and also there was a little background of divine or spiritual things. So process of mixing all these things was done along with day-to-day tasks. The students were that is working like a sadhak, and they were living in a gurukul where students were living with teachers home for study. And the best examples of these were very famous things like Nalanda, Takshashila, Vidyapits. Now, for utilizing the knowledge for the benefits of kind, in ancient Bharat, there were knowledgeable personalities. Sukrut, who could have the surgery. Then there was Aryabhatta, who could predict the motion of the stars. Panini, who was the father of Sanskrit grammar. Chanakya, the name is enough. And they set the examples in front of world, and they are having social, intellectual, political, and spiritual context. So we are rich in tradition, we are having the stronger things in our mind, and we can implement all these things. The ancient Indian education taught the subjects like logic, philosophy, literature, welfare, history, Sanskrit, craft, medicine, along with yoga, Ayurveda, etc. There is a saying also. All the things are from Vyas Muni. So there is a two epic things were there, Mahabharata and Ramayana. So in case of Ramayana, it is said that what is yours, if you leave it for others without claiming it, then it is a Ramayana. And what is not yours, if you are going to claim it, then there occurs a Mahabharata. So it is the thing that is happening in world like Russia, Ukraine, and all other things. So we can have that the Mahabharata and Ramayana are the epic things which are like poems, and they are defining the all human goals universally also. So that particular thing is the gift from ancient, that is education to world. Now, in case of education, in the middle things, architecture, painting, logic, grammar, philosophy were taken into consideration. The main important thing was in 11th century, Delhi, Lucknow, Allahabad, where the that is important things, where there was a fresh interaction between Indian and Islamic traditions in the fields of knowledge, religion, philosophy, fine arts, painting, architecture, mathematics, medicine, and astrology. Now comes the British rule. Now, in case of British rule, the they required the slaves. They required not intellectuals. They required the slaves. So they introduced the teaching of English language, and the study of languages like Arabian, Persian, Sanskrit was left for individual efforts, so that the people could not think in other language good. Now in NEP, it is said that it is emphasized that the students can do their study in their own language. So it is the important thing taken into consideration. And in case of the British era, very important thing that happened was the Lord Mackinlay. The Lord Mackinlay's education system was the system of the factory of clerks. So without having meaning, they just mocked up and have the buzzwords only. So the important thing uh, was the in between 1828 to 1835, the first policy about education came, which underlined the importance of English, and the students were taught the literature of English and European history. So it was the system made by Britishers to reduce their expenditure on the administration. And according to Lord Mackinlay, after receiving modern education, Indians should remain Indians only in their color, with their interests, ideas, morals, intelligence, but they should lessen the burden of British Empire. After that, the post-independence era occurs, and in that case, first of all, after independence, education became the responsibility of states, not the central thing. So the core idea was that states will look after. But after 1976, both the things, that is center and state, became joined together, and they know that importance of education, how the generations and how the that is your country can progress with the help of education. So the core idea was value education is taken into consideration in 1976 draft, and values such as cultural values, universal values, personal values, social values, etc., are to be imbibed, and IITs were formed in after independence. So the role of these IITs and the roles of the higher education and scientific research and ISRO and all the that is progress made by Indians after 1947, how the things happened, and after pandemic also we could successfully do the vaccination for entire Indian large population. So there is a power in education, and that is the power that is empowering India for growth. But there are limitations also. The limitations are that India is facing 25% population is still illiterate, or only 15% of students can reach high school. We people are so much fortunate to have that particular fortunate to have this particular higher education things we can have, and 7% of these could go towards the graduate. So that was the thing. After these revisions, 1976, 1986 was major revision, and after 1986, the 1992 was the major that is revisions. In that revisions, the current future needs were taken into consideration. But in 1992 to 2017, large or gap was there. So the ISRO chief, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, formulated a new education policy, his team, in June 2017, where the Indian values are taken into consideration. Value-based education policy was the things. So in that view, what were the aim of NEP was taken into consideration. The universalization of education is taken into consideration. For that, the own language, use of AI, multidisciplinary things, and having the that is exit wherever the student can exit or enter in any way, as per his convenience or as per his that is financial need, he can continue or he can join the that is multiple exits, etc. is possible. So NEP structure is now you have seen in so many webinars. I will not go into that detail, but we are thinking it in front in a way where it can be molded in the Indian perspective or educator perspective. So we have seen that is age 16 was 10 years, and then 16 to 18 2 years was the existing academic system, and now the system is going to change for foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage, and secondary stage. But what exactly they are going to fulfill? To have that, there must be some visionary or that is document or visionary thing, and that is vision of 2020, NEP 2020, where one has to have the vibrant, knowledgeable society and high quality education to all. Sarva Siksha Abhiyan was the thing that happened, but still the quality and the that is spread of education for higher education is still low. The second thing is taken into consideration in vision is respect towards the fundamental rights, that is respect to all and suspect all is the thing which is the aim of DRDO and all other things. Like that, here also the respect is given to one's country, one's awareness of one's role, responsibilities in the changing world. And the next thing is skill based things, value based schemes, because human life is based on values, skills, and it is having the sustainable development for living and in the globalization of today's world, one has to have the skills to protect the global situations. So these things are taken into consideration, and for that particular thing, respect for diversity. So I as a person of India, as a person of global village of world or universe, I will respect all the diversities that are coming in my way, as well as I will have a local. So global to local or local to global is the thing that is declared by current that is government, and also equity and inclusion is also taken into consideration. These are all things which we are taken into consideration, that is community participation, equity, inclusion, unique capabilities, critical thinking, and creativity. Continuously, we have to get the review and emphasize the conceptual learning. Just now, we have seen how there are buzzwords, and the buzzwords are not giving you the true sense and true ground line what is happening. So, all these things are key principles of NEP, but with the help of use of technology, in which there are the inclusion of Divyang students, the language barriers are removed out. Just now we had seen in case of our other platforms like our NPTEL also, the Pradeshik original things are coming out. All are inclusive, all inclusive policy. So multiple pathways are there. One can go and come back to its education. We have to have that peer tutoring. Then alternative centers are there, and community that is feedback and learning outcomes are to be measured, etc. That is the important thing, and very important thing, bringing back dropouts. Those who are willing to have the further education and not possible with their financial condition can come to their back to school. That is another important thing, that is giving us a moral support to the social aspects. Now, in case of this, again we are going to next section, that is moral values. So again, knowing the this NEP, we just have to have that particular what are the values. So Einstein famous quote is there: the value lessons start from the childhood. It's the things you learn from your parent and immediate surroundings. So the role of education is having multiple things, either your home, like parent, then your teacher and peers are the pillars of education from which you are unknowingly learning the good or bad things. So try not to a person of success, but rather become a person of value is the important thing in case of human living. So the values are based on perceptions. So perception means one of the thing is good for me, which could not be good for other person, but I have to value his opinion also, and based on that, I should make the belief, which belief will give me the good values. And again, this is subjective. Whichever is good for me may not be good for other, but have the that is golden mean for the your country, for your that is society, and have the expectations to grow the nation. Now the values are the something which are making us reaching our higher self also. So like we keep our beliefs high, then our values will be high, then our motives will be high, then our feelings will be high, then our behavior will be high, then our social position will be high, then money will be there and class will be there, and we could go for other particular things like in major beliefs in Hinduism are dharma, karma, moksha, artha, etc. So the cycles are there, and for that particular thing, we should not ditch the values and go to the higher self of ours. And again, one of the important thing I want to highlight is in case of values, they are changing with respect to time. What was not allowed previously is allowed today and is taken as a that is a very good thing as the time progresses, because we are grasping the things and we are making the different perspectives. Again, the values are changing as per class, higher class or lower class. With money it is changing, with positions it is changing, with online and print media it is changing, because they are making the buzzwords and what is not there is projected to you. So again, values are changing as per their interpretation. So these are the things that are to be taken into consideration as an educator on this platform for the behavior or for the implementation of NEP also. So the values are changing, and these are the qualities, characteristics, ideas which are strongly we feel, which could be moral, material, aesthetic, intrinsic, extrinsic, universal, or group or specific values. Values are changing decisions, goals, behaviors, actions, judgments, what I feel about you, what you feel about me, what the persons are seeing to one of the that is incident, etc. Attributes are changing. So what is worthy and what is not worthy, or what is harmful, all these things are to be taken in a case of sound economic, for the sound economic growth, but in a legal way. And for that particular thing, we have to have the students' emotional aspects, students' value aspects should be done ground and concrete. That is the responsibility given on our shoulders as an educator, and to implement the NEP for stronger, that is India as a superpower. That is our particular thing that we have to take into consideration. Next section is about how the NEP is supporting good moral values. So the whatever values, ethics, whatever the ancient thing, whatever the time span we have seen, the objectives with moral values are we have to provide a value-based education. Previously, in ancient also, our value-based system education was there. So again, we are coming to the same concept, and with that, we want to have the world peace to add moral, spiritual, physiological, cultural values in the students. So the student should be the spiritually high and able to have the whatever the jerks in his life, he has to sustain and grow the nation. So that is the value added education, and for which he has to have the humanity based approach, he has to have follow the ethics, he has to have the multidisciplinary approach, he has to think and have the clear idea of his own values, what is allowed and what is not allowed, and what will lead his family, his parents, his nation, make him proud. That should be developed by teacher into the student, and for that instructional material should be e-content. Wherever the student is there, he has to access all these videos, all these things, all these social values, and he has to have the tolerance. Nowadays students don't have the time to look upon books, to look upon mobile, to look upon videos. So he has to have the tolerance to have that particular things. Also he has to have the spirit of cooperation and teamwork, because students are one or two uh, that is child system is there, so they are self-centric, and these particular things should be included. Now for this particular thing, we teachers are having all these responsibilities. I just wind up because the we I just have these things in front of you. We have to have the curiosity, problem solving things, arts, music, relationship with nature. That is important thing. And we are people as educator are doing this with NSS camps and all other extracurricular values, and we are teaching our student, including them teamwork, collaboration, and importantly we are imbibing them the etiquette, behavior, emotional supports, and how to behave in a society, so that we can be a responsible that is citizen. So these are the values that are coming out of the NEP, which we have to take into consideration, and we have to encourage the gifted also, special students also, or talented students also. We have to do the efforts. So the responsibility on our shoulder, where we have to have the project-based clubs, we have to have the healthy competitions, where we have to have the all other things which will be in rural area also, and we have to take into consideration the power of online platform, whichever things were available previously in IITs or in MIT, uh, Boston universities, and far apart in Germany, they are on fingerprints of ours. So we have to educate the students for what we have to use the mobile, not for TikTok or other entertainment, but the years where they have the responsibility of getting learned the things which are available on their fingertips. That thing we have to take into consideration on our shoulder, and we have to teach them 21st century schools, so that the students are having effective governance. Language will not be barrier, and they will be free birds in the global village. So inclusion and access, blended learning, online and offline, both platforms are there. So gift of COVID-19 is we are using online platforms so confidently. Indians are very that is strong in taking the change positively. So both things we can emphasize for blending learning. We can create the contents. We can use the very important platforms given by the that is Government of India, Swayam, where NPTEL quality material of anything, that is one of the student of a one branch can learn data analytics. Arts commerce students can learn the other that is engineering things, or engineering students can learn the tabla or any other things. All the thing platforms are there. So these are the values given by equity, inclusion, that is community participation, critical thinking, respect to others, unique capabilities, recognizing, emphasizing the conceptual learning, continuous review. All these things are taken into consideration. Now I will highlight the what are the advantage of NEP and what are the challenges in front of us, and then we can conclude. So for advantage of NEP, if we see that then just memorizing and mugging up the material is not there. 10, 12 pressure is taken out, and students can freely do the study what they want. The independent authority is there. There is no rigid things. The students can have the coding from standard. So there will no barrier for rural students to be with the urban students. They are having equal opportunity. Vocational streams are there. So AI based things to learn, artificial intelligence based things will be there, so that the students will be all inclusive and are having holistic education, which is the Bharat centric. Bharat, there is a difference between India and Bharat, but Bharat centric means rural people will also get the advantage of what is happening in Bombay and Pune and all other Bengaluru and all other cities. And development of knowledge based society is the aim of this particular thing. So to wrap up these things, holistic that is card will be coming, and in that case we will have the respect of individual and ethics will be there. In healthcare there will be that is all the students who are having that is that particular base will go to that particular area and are having endless opportunities. So sustainable models are taken into consideration. Healthy systems, then they are having lifelong learning, which is our 12th PO. That is again getting here for HEI, that is higher educational institutes. And here online books, ICT libraries, adult education. In case of adult education, and foundation literacy program and basic education, all these things are strongly documented first and then given to us. And for that, equity, accountability is very important thing. You just put all the things but not accountable, then it is not useful for integrity, public welfare and impartiality. These tables are giving us what are the changes as if existing and as if the proposed. The important thing was existing coding was optional, but after class 6 we people are getting exposed to coding. So the student will apply the coding to whatever his area of interest. That is important thing. So educational way is to application. So that is important thing. Not just learning mugging it up is not taken into consideration. So I will go to just challenges of the things. The very important thing is challenge, because we have to do SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, threats, and opportunities. So till now we have our NEP is based on what particular values, what is the timeline, and how it can be taken to the youth, and how the generations can be created with the help of tool of this particular education that we have seen. Now one has to take into consideration the challenges. The challenge, very first challenge is we have to be ready as an educator on toes, because foreign universities are expected to come into our market, and that will make the competition high. Not only competition, we people are not worrying about competition, but the education will become expensive. That is the one of the major thing challenge in case of this particular policy. The second thing is lack of human resources. Skilled teachers, where from standard 6 you are going to have the coding. So the skilled teacher is needed for this particular change and implementation of the system, and where the loopholes are there and how to take the measures. That is the important thing. So I just go to conclusion. NEP is a promoting Indian value based education and will create a knowledgeable based society. NEP is giving us teamwork, resilience, communication, value based education. In all, NEP seems to be good deal, which is given by India today. Now the references, I have used my own Scopus index paper titled Traditional Indian Education Values and New National Education Policy adopted by India, which is published in the Scopus Journal, a Journal of Education, and was published in 2021 by trustees of Boston University, and the DOI is given, and publishers are Sage Publications. With due permission of Sage Publication, I am presenting all these things in front of you. And with other particular references. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to provide my perspectives as well as some of the insights that I have taken in the timeline of ancient to British to 1976 to 1992 to 2017 to 2020. So thank you very much. As an educator, as a human being, I have put up all the things in front of you. Um,
Thank you, ma'am, for your very good keynote speech on the topic National Education Policy and Indian Traditional Values. And you have delivered a very detailed speech. After this, now the topic is open for discussion, that is question answer session. So I request participants, if they have any query or any doubt, please put it before Honorable Ma'am for answer and explanation. Please participants.
Varsha madam, very good evening. Am I audible, madam? I am audible?
yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your very elaborated informative lecture. My question is, madam, you have discussed all these three, different eras education. Now, when you said in the last part of your lecture, the big challenge you said universities are going to come into India, private universities, and do they have to follow this new educational policy? Because is it mandatory for them to follow, or can they have their own? As we have B schools in India, where the management courses have designed their own syllabus, the central universities have their own syllabus. Now, after being this new policy introduced, will the outside university, foreign universities, have got any commitment or have got any mandatory to follow the new education policy?
Yes, sir. I have read the article where whenever foreign universities are coming, they have to keep some money aside to as a token that they will follow the rules and they will do the things which are beneficial for both the countries, and they have to be in line with the NEP or in line with the some rules that is written in that particular paper that I have written.
But you also mentioned in your lecture that again we are going back to the old. It's something like a old white in a new bottle, like that you said in your lecture. I was hearing, listening carefully. What was the major change in the new education policy if you compare with the traditional one? Could you just highlight one or two points?
Yes, sir. The very important thing was as a human, uh, whatever the things as a value they are coming in again. But the thing is that equal treatment is given to women also. That is one of the thing. And with your series also, women empowerment, whatever given in NEP is implemented in this particular webinar series. That is respect to all, then whatever in all inclusiveness, use of online platform learning, all these things are taken into consideration and implemented with this particular webinar series also. I congratulate Dr. Bedkar MM and all the team for implementation of all these things which are in line with NEP.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Any more question from anybody?
There is
Please.
question in the chat box. How can we able to provide internationalized teaching learning without making professional development of all teachers in our country? Yes.
Yes, yes, this is nice question. From 2020 to full implementation 2030, time is given. The time span is very big, where teacher have to upgrade themselves. And other thing is that there will be centers where the teacher will be given training about that, and with the help of that training, also we can able to take the challenge of implementing the NEP for all. Yes. May I, have I answered the question?
Yes, madam. Yes, Vidyasagar sir, you have asked the question. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Anybody?
Madam, one more question. Distinguishing the feature of this policy, which I came to know recently, that the doctoral degree, the doctoral program is
Yes.
now allowed after bachelor degree. Do you think that this is the right policy, right point? That, even after completion of about post graduation, also having completed about couple of years service, also still PhD has got some meaning. But students who are just finishing their bachelor's degree and get into the doctorate degree directly, how it be going to impact the society?
Actually, personally, the things are like PhD is a like you are getting a very high like tolerance. You require very high tolerance, and you require very that is disciplined efforts and all other things.
Exactly,
And
right.
in 2 years, it is very difficult to do the entire time span and entire coverage. The spectrum is very large, and you have to take into consideration in 2 years. It is very but maybe government and the respected Kasturi Rangan and his team may have thought about this, where the things are like implementation of the industry requirements, or it might be like application which is to be completed only in 2 years. Otherwise, lateral entry or otherwise they have to extend the things that might be there, which is not clear. But still, in 3 to 4 days before this news, which was there, was appeared, I just had the screenshot, but and wanted to include in this particular thing. So I am proud to be of this particular galaxy of intellectuals. They have taken this point also, which was missed by me. Thank you very much, sir.
No, my point is that no, we have to appreciate the new policy, but certain things have to be monitored very minutely, because doctorate is a degree which requires a lot of maturity of mind, maturity of
Yes,
the
yes.
thoughts. Suddenly if you go on and what would be the fate of the country? When you are going a policy with some very ambitious program and just allowing the bachelors to get into the PhD, that's what my concern only.
Yes,
Maybe there are highly intellectual people are there in the top helm of their
Yes,
affairs. They
but
would
there
be
is a way out, sir. Just I am interrupting because I got that thought, because they have opened a window, and UGC also asked us to give the suggestions for all these things, and the window period is open, where the intellectual like you and all the dignitaries present here can give the suggestion, and this is the right suggestion that you had pointed out, which should not be taken out, because it is a very thoughtful thing that is to be taken into consideration. So we can have that particular as a we should have that awareness, and we should give that particular suggestion to UGC also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Any more question from anybody? Thank you, Dr. Badiuddin sir, Dr. Vidyasagar sir, for your questions, and thank you, ma'am, for answers and explanations. Now, after this keynote speech and question answer session, I am here to request Honorable Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series, please deliver your concluding words. Please, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Karar sir, and all the organizing team committee members, and also today's resource person, Varsha Kiran Patil madam from Pune. I am very much happy to be here. And also, I am very much happy to be here. And also, today's resource person, Varsha Kiran Patil madam from Pune. I am very much happy to be here. And also, today's resource person, Varsha Kiran Patil madam from Pune. I am very much happy to be here. And also, today's resource person, Varsha Kiran Patil madam from Pune. who just discussed and explained her views on national education policy and traditional Indian values, right from our Indian education system from ancient age to up till now. She have given detailed analysis of that, and she also explained the strength, weakness, all the new education policy. Also, she give explained her research on this, how the Indian traditional values are important to be adopted. So all these things all explained by our today's resource persons are very useful, and it is also a summary of the new education policy. As she said that from so many webinars we are listening about new education policy, and her opinion about that she also explained with this. So it is added in our knowledge of national education policy and traditional Indian values. By implementing these traditional values, as Badruddin Ahmad saying that what are the new things coming, they be maybe right or wrong. The time will decide all the things. But we have skilled teachers, and newly technology adopted teachers should be most ingredient part of this new education policy. So teachers have to change their nature from old one to new one. So all these things are very nicely explained by madam. Thank you, Varsha Patil madam, for contributing your research in this webinar. And we all are aware that we are we have filed the file for the world record. So all the resource persons and uh, daily participating participants are our ingredient part of this. So we keep joining this daily. Thank you to all. Thank you to resource person madam.
On behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series Sri Kumar Swami College Hausa, I am here for the vote of thanks. First of all, I thank the chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series for his appreciation of the keynote speech and for his studious opinion about the keynote speech and for his efforts to run this webinar series. So thank you